All right, I got it. I calibrate the accelerometer. For some of the people to get back in here because we had like 20 watching. So what's up, guys? It's been a while since I've been doing too much on the channel. Beginning of June, I flew back to America and I was there for a week or so with family and friends, and picked up my son and brought him back to China. And then my daughter was here for 10 days. I had my son for like a month, which was freaking awesome to have some bonding time with him. So I kind of put editing and making videos and all this stuff to the side because obviously I have limited time with my my bonding with my kids, especially my son. My daughter's older, she's 22, so it's not quite as important, but my son's just turned 15, so father-son time is very valuable for us. So I focused totally on that and took him flying. The kid was freaking, within 2 days, the kid was doing power loops in acro mode. Within 5 packs, he was flying the quad in acro mode. Couple tree rescues and whole shitload of props, but then he was off. It was really cool. I think if you really want to teach, I know everybody says just go fly the sim, but man, if you got somebody that really wants to learn how to fly, I proved it to myself. I took him to the field and just gave him instruction, you know, and guided him along, and he was freaking flying in no time. It was awesome. That's right, Mr. Adams. Right? Telling you, Slippery. It's crazy. Well, when you're young, you're not as, you know, I guess, you know, and he didn't have to worry about building the quad and any of that stuff. You know, he was just able to get in the air and, you know, he didn't have to learn about building it and video, and you know, you just put the goggles on and fly. You didn't have to worry about charging batteries and learning all the ropes that we all had to learn along the way to get ourselves in the air. But all right, we're back up to 7, so we still got about 15 people missing that were in the other one. But here's kind of the thing. Yeah, I guess I'm an okay tutor. Well, I'm his dad, so, you know, lots of patience. I saw that I'm prompted by this because I saw some comments. Steele Davis was working on a set of HDO goggles with some tweaks to them, and he was looking for some backing, and there was a bunch of people that commented on there. Hey, QDL, what up? There was a bunch of people that commented on there that, oh man, you know, I wish I could see a real review on the HDO goggles and not something from all these sponsored pilots that got them given to them and blah, blah, blah. Have I tried the Source One frame? No, I make my own frames. Although the Source One frame is really cool. As most of you know, I'm friends with Trappy. And it was only started by Team Black Sheep. It is not ran by Team Black Sheep. They came up with the idea and kick-started it off and got everything going. I think it's a really cool idea that people get to design their own shit. There's nothing like putting your own design in the air. It's really, really gratifying. Hang on a second. Part of you know, I know there's some good binding flies out there anymore, but I don't want to. I actually enjoy building. I don't want to take the satisfaction of getting it all to come together and flying my own creation. I don't want to rob myself of that. So the Hawk or whatever, maybe a freaking awesome quad, but it's just not for me. And I'm picky about my components. I want all top of the line shit. I'm picky about I scrutinize every solder joint. I do shit the way I want to do it, and I don't know. I'm sure they are freaking awesome quads. I've never flown one, but hey, So anyway, let's talk about these HDOs. How about that? Now, I've been flying with the HD V2s for probably 2 years, I guess. 18 months, 2 years. I don't even know how long I've been flying. I started like the beginning of 2016, end of 2015. And I absolutely love these goggles. For me, I have really, really good eyesight, and I have a really freaking fat skull and wide eye set, like a catfish. So I fly with my IPDs all the way out. That's the only way I can see in the screens. So I never had any problems with like blurry edges or anything like that, like some people talked about with these V2s. They freaking performed awesome, no doubt about it. I also have a set of these Amways, and these are also really freaking good goggles, man. I ain't gonna lie. These are nice. They work fantastic. Anybody looking to get into it that wants goggles, they're really comfortable, really easy to use. Just screw on some antennas. You don't have to worry about installing and programming receivers and whatnot, and so on and so forth. They're damn good goggles, no doubt about it. I'm using these now to run my my Texas, because I FPV'd my truck. Yeah, the satisfaction of building, I'm not going to rob my of that. I mean, it's amazing. We take like a pile of wires and electronics and slap it on some carbon fiber and get it to do the shit we get it to do in the air, and then film it and share it with people. It's mind-boggling. And I learn something every time I build too, Damn, we only got 8. Oh, now we're back up. I got 9 people in here now. Yeah, FPV is definitely a lifestyle, QDL, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Once you're hooked, you're in there like a freaking, you got to get your fix, man, like a foot dragging crack whore. So anyway, let's get back to what we were talking about. Like I said, I've had these for like 2 years now. I was down in Hong Kong for a race a couple months ago, and I had the pleasure of my friend Waz that owns Underground FPV. He had a set of these that were prototype that he kind of had hidden. They were in a different case and stuff like that, so I didn't say HDO on them or anything like that. And I put them on my face, and I immediately said, I'm getting a pair of these. And I'll tell you what, the clarity, like here's the deal. I went from these V2s, HD V2s. I got these on a Friday afternoon in the mail, and I bought them myself. Nobody gave them to me. I actually bought these from Get FPV all the way back in my hometown in Sarasota, and they sent them all the way to frickin' China for me, which cost me, an extra $50 in shipping and whatever. Now, I got these on a Friday afternoon. I stuck my LaForge V4s in here, and I went and raced with these the next day. So, and had zero issues with the 37-degree field of view. I didn't even notice it. It's big enough where my eyes can easily focus on it. No, you cannot see the pixels. The pixels are gone. You can see the pixels in this one. I have extremely good eyesight. My eyesight is like 22, 21. I mean, I can read like the little, without glasses, I can read the little fine lines at the eye doctor chart. And with this, I can see the pixels in here. Here, it's smooth screen. Because the difference is an LED screen, and the refresh rate is faster in here. Double A, what up, Broski? So everybody that's going, oh, the field of view's only 37 degrees. Well, you know what? Put them on your face and try them, because I'm telling you right now, you're not even going to notice. The clarity on these is freaking amazing. And after I got done with the race, like at the race, I was able to see the gates. We were racing inside with lighted gates, which are really freaking hard to see and hard to do because you get camera glare and all that stuff. And like when they're in a line and you have 2 or 3 gates in a line, they blend together when they're lit up gates inside in the dark. And I was able to pick them out, you know what I mean? And I like I said, I did really well in the race the next day, had 0 issues going from this huge 50 degree to this 37 degree. And the next day after I got back from the races, I went out and freestyled with these. And I went to a place that's got like a bunch of, I think I got a video up of me flying there. What did I call it? Hanging out with my buddy Who Flung Poo or something, because the gardener was always there. Anyway, I was able to like rip around the power lines. Like I could see every wire in the power lines, even like the little guide wires that were hanging down and stuff like that. Windy. Wind is awesome, man. That's when you use the wind and you find a way to power loop and slide back over the field like 1,000 yards upside down. So the clarity and the field of view was no issue, and the clarity is freaking phenomenal. I don't know if you guys know, but these LCD screens, okay, the way an LCD screen updates itself is by lines. So when it refreshes line by line all the way down. That's what they're talking about when they say like 700 TVL. Each one of those is a line. It's like 700 lines. And I forget what these are. What are they? 800 by 560 or something like that. So that's 800 lines that it goes down and refreshes frame by frame. On an OLED screen, it's all little individual pixels. And the pixels just beam from behind and change the screen. So you get a faster refresh rate, like a cleaner refresh rate on this than you do on these. And I'll tell you what, I'm a big fan of the Runcam Eagle Pro 2, especially the micro. And I know a lot of guys fly Fox ear. I mean, I'm sure there's nothing wrong with the Fox ear. I know Bardwell says there's some blue in there or whatever. I don't give a fuck. The main reason I stick with the Runcam Eagle is because I have all Runcam stuff. So all the Runcam plugs fit. I have tons of plugs and stuff around to fit for it. So I'm sticking with Runcam because I'd have to switch everything out to switch cameras out. Maybe I'll try one sometime. I don't know. But these coupled with the Runcam Eagle, I found that the clarity was so good in these that I had to like even up the brightness in the cameras and then adjust the brightness and contrast on the goggles to get, and it got a really, really freaking good image. Whereas with these, I had to keep the brightness down lower in the camera, so I didn't get as much, I couldn't get as much dynamic range out of it, I guess you would say. And then, adjust it in the goggles. But I'm sure that with these coming out, there's going to be some crazy cameras coming out. But I mean, this is absolutely as good as it can freaking get. And actually, I had a set of Dominators with the 32 degree field of view, and I recently just sold those to a guy that's starting out for a good price. So I've tried many different goggles. It's not like I've only tried these two. I have the Amways. I actually started out flying with head plays, but yeah, that's true. You're right. The LCDs has no true black. With these, like the first thing I noticed when I put Waz's on at the race down in Hong Kong is that like the pucks laying on the ground, I could see the dark shadow under the pucks. Like they stood out from the grass. Whereas with these, you would just see like the color kind of bleed into the grass. You know what I mean? I'll take your hand me down. I'll take your hand me downs. Yeah, buddy. I'm keeping these. These are the only two goggles I have left. Well, I actually have the head plates around somewhere. I'll give you those, Slippery, if you want to hang that box off your face. And my Amways are hooked up to my my FPV Traxxas truck, so I need to get rid of the HDOs. Oh no, buddy, these are my go-to goggles now. These are freaking awesome. So there's that. Any other? Oh, and I got this. I've been using this crosshair from UAS, and this thing freaking is phenomenal too. I'm using the Ion because it's an omnidirectional, and the crosshair together. And dude, with the LaForge, booyah! I'm gonna tell you something. All the receivers that are out there today, the Trudy, the LaForge, the whatever, they're so close, guys. They're so close. And I know there's some comparison videos out there like JB has done and stuff like that, but I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to perform the same in all circumstances. Like me flying here in a different environment is not going to produce the same results as him flying in his yard. Yeah, making your own antennas is not that hard. I actually have a couple of handmade antennas somewhere, some pagodas that we actually put on a spectrograph and tuned into like the race bands and stuff like that. So now, are these worth it? Is it worth upgrading from these to these? Well, I guess that kind of depends. For me, I can afford it. I mean, I'm just going to be point blank about that. I can afford it. So yeah, it was worth it for me. The clarity, and I do a lot of racing and stuff like that. And I'm very happy that I upgraded to these. Even with my freestyle, you know, I can see the tiny little branches. Like I said, I could see the guide wires on the freaking telephone poles, man. It was, I was blown away when I put these on my face at the picture that they produce. It's unbelievable. You can get your channel in the peak zone. Yeah, exactly. And if you use Adams, if you use the LaForge V4, you can actually go into frequency scan, and you can find the exact peak that your antenna is at, and you can even tweak it right dead in the middle of the beam of that on top of tuning an antenna. So yeah, that kicks ass. But I've just this thing and this thing, freaking. What about the Eachines they got out now? I don't know much about the Eachines. Rock touching. Hey, douche, have you noticed white horizontal line in LaForge V4 when it switches to? No, I have not. I have not noticed a line so far. I don't know. Have you? You notice a line in there? There are firmware upgrades. Maybe you need to upgrade the firmware on it. I don't know. But I have had zero issues with that. You can also change the speed of the diversity. That may be, maybe you have the switching speed too fast. I don't know, buddy. Yeah, I got the second batch. I got the second batch of goggles and the second batch of the LaForge modules. So that may be it too. But I know that, like I said, you can go online and download the upgrader from LaForge, the configurator, and you can upgrade the firmware. I'm sure that's fixed in there. All right. The first batch of goggles had the issue, right? But not the first batch of the LaForge. He was talking about the LaForge, I think. So, I don't know. I guess it's all in what you want for functionality, you know. Another thing that I found really cool about these is when you switch the contrast and brightness in here. I don't know if it's in the LaForge. I think it's in the goggles themselves, because why would that be in the LaForge? It actually shows you now that you're switching contrast or switching brightness. Whereas with these, I always forgot if it was contrast or bright when I was trying to tune in the camera. But this one actually has, it says contrast, and then it gives you a number graph. So you know you're on contrast 10, 12, brightness 11, whatever, which I thought was really freaking. Guys talk about the power switch and whatnot, and I agree there should be a power switch. I don't think they need to innovate them in the goggles. They could put a power switch on the battery, right? So we could turn the goggles on and off so we're not wearing out the barrel connector. But with these, like a long time ago, I made a cord for these that never comes unplugged, and it just plugs into my I actually use 26 650s instead of the 18 650s, and it has a step-up regulator on it so that I can run the batteries to full voltage, and I just have a switch on here and it just sticks out of my pocket. So I can turn my goggles on and off like that. Super easy to make. And when you use lithium ions can actually drain down to 2.5 per cell, but your Fat Sharks will start beeping out at 7 volts. So you use a step-up regulator, right? So this, once it goes below the 7 or 7.2, that makes these start beeping. This will step up the voltage. Like I have this set at 8.4, so it has optimal voltage. It doesn't go up and down into the screens or anything like that. It's always 8.4 all the way down to the. Hey, Aaron, what's up, buddy? The line was on the bottom right. I don't know anything. I don't have any problems with any lines. At least I haven't so far. Let's hope I don't. I know there's a OSD thing that comes on with the HD2s with the LaForge. There's an OSD line that comes on. It can come on at the top, the middle, or the bottom, but you can shut that off in the LaForge itself. Is that what you're talking about? Because I haven't had any problem with the line. But that can be turned on or off. That's for the on-screen display, so you can pop on that and pop open the on-screen display, but I didn't really find that useful. I can it's pretty easy for me to feel the middle button here and pop on the menu and it comes into the goggles. That's another thing that was pretty cool. Was that. All right, so any questions about these? My experience with these so far has been freaking phenomenal. So if you guys got anything you want to know about them, shoot it. Put it out there. If not, I got some other stuff we're going to talk about. I like these new batteries too. You know, like I said, I made the cord to go in my pocket because I can't stand the battery being over my ear and smashing on my ear. It drives me crazy. Rock touching. How big is the image compared to the V2? Well, the V2s is a 50-degree field of view, and these are a 37-degree field of view. But like I said in the beginning, I got these on a Friday, and on Saturday I put them on my head and flew a race, so that that field of view issue is null and void. The screen is big enough that your eye is going to focus on it immediately. I didn't even notice going from the 50-degree to this 37-degree. I didn't even notice it. I'm telling you. Yeah, well, I can tell you this. If you're flying with a 32, if you're flying with a smaller screen, I still don't think you're going to notice anything. If anything, it's going to be better because it's not overly huge where it's going to be like, it's going to make you like motion sick. Because I know some guys have flown with goggles and then put on like a box goggle and they get motion sick because it's just way too big of a screen. But I don't think that's going to happen with these. Like the clarity just trumps all that. You know, so I don't know. Smoking a crepe? I'll take a crepe. I'll take a crepe and a vape. All right, so anyway, yeah, they kick ass. For me, it was well worth it. All right. Next on the agenda, I've been using this little dude right here on my builds, on my 5-inch builds. Let me tell you something. This little sucker right here works freaking fantastic. I have never, if you know me, you know I've never been a fan of 4-in-1 ESCs. I had one blow out at a couple blow out at a race a long time ago, and since then, I've always used the individual ESCs because it was just so much easier at a race to swap them out. And this little guy, this little board, just stacks right up with that. Okay, so let me tell you how I got around to doing this. I wanted to build a 3-inch. So at that time, which was, I don't know, 6 months ago or so, maybe not even, HGLRC was pretty much the go-to for these little boards. Slippery, I'm running 5 of these right now and have 0 issues with any of them. This one right here will be number 6, and I just have this as a spare backup in case something happens or I crash or whatever, or something gets broken. So I started out, I built this 3-inch, and this thing absolutely freaking screams. Yes, it's a 20 by 20 Aaron FPV. This thing absolutely screams. And I beat the shit out of it for like 3 months. And freaking, like I said, I was never a fan of 4-in-1s or any of that crap, but this kind of changed my mind because I beat the crap out of this thing with 0 issue. So I said, you know what? I got to looking at this little guy, and I'm like, man, this is a freaking 40 amp BL Heli 32 ESC, right? So why the hell can't I run it on a 5-inch? So I did. Hold on a second. Let me put this back in its little protection here, because I don't know when I'm going to use it or whatever. So let me show you what I built. The first thing I built with it. This is one of my own frames, as you guys know. And this is a 5-inch with 2207s in it, running 5046 props. And that little freaking HGLRC board, you see it in there, handles that shit with no problem. This thing flies freaking phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. So it's a full-size frame with a micro cam and a micro board and a micro crossfire and everything in there. I think this thing's coming in at like 270 grams, 5-inch, 210 5-inch. Anything, I keep my frames around 200 and up. The new T-motor, I have not. I used to run a lot of T-motor stuff. I have a bunch of them laying around here. I used to run a lot of T-motor. Crap. I have some right here, as a matter of fact. I don't know. I have never been. Yeah, it's not the size that matters. What I was saying is I run at least a 200 size frame because it feels more stable. Those 180, 190 size frames are too jerky for me. I like it around 210, 220 is the sweet spot for me. I don't know if you guys know, but going back, I've never been a big fan of the 23 stator size motors. I've been saying that for a long time, that 2206, 2207 motors were a lot better. They produced a lot more power and were a lot more efficient than these freaking beasts. And now guess what? All of a sudden everybody is going to 2207 motors, but I've been saying it forever. But hey, don't take my word for it. What the hell do I know? I don't know shit. So I've actually been pretty much running oh, the new props. I actually have a couple sets of those new props. I have not tried them yet, but I am going to. I have some in my backpack as we speak that I'm going to try in the field. I started pretty much using all Brother Hobby motors now because the Brother Hobby motors, they switched them all out now, and they're all coming with the EZO 8mm bearings, which is I think T-Motor is 6mm bearings, but these all have 8mm bearings in them. And the Japanese EZO bearings are like the best bearings you can freaking get on the market. So these motors have been performing absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal. And these things are just absolutely pretty. I have these on my no, do not oil your bearings. Do not ever oil your bearings, guys. These are pressed bearings. These are sealed bearings. So they come with grease in them that is meant to last and be sealed in there for the life of the motor. And it's a temperature grease, right? So it can withstand the heat. If you drip oil into your motor, you're going to break down that packing grease that's in there that's specified for this motor. Once you put oil in there, you're going to have to keep putting oil in there like every time you fly. Never put oil in there unless you like have crashed in the mud and had to totally scrub it out and soak it in hot water and it's getting really, really squeaking and whatever. Do not put oil in your bearings because you're going to break down the grease that it's meant to have in there. There's so many different viscosities and heat temperature ranges for grease. You'd be surprised the technology that goes into the grease that they put in these. And you'll displace that grease or break it down way quicker than it's supposed to be broke down if you use oil in there. So I recommend you do not. Y'all can do whatever the fuck you want to do, but I recommend you do not use it. Okay, so this is one of my my own frames, as some of you guys know. Yeah, just buy new bearings. Shit, I just throw the motors out and buy new fucking motors. As some of you guys know, this is my OG Skadoosh frame that I've been flying forever. I freaking love this frame. I love the design of it. Let's see if I can get it out here a little bit. And this is the top mount, total freestyle blockbuster freaking frame. This thing can go through hell and back. Actually, when I make the next revision, I'm gonna get rid of this rib and make this rib a little thicker. The only thing I've ever broke on this frame is this front rib right here, and it's not really necessary. We'd put it in there to keep vibration out of the arms, to keep it a lot more stable. But I think if I just thicken this one up, like double the thickness of this one and get rid of that one, it's going to take care of that. And then this is the new prototype frame that I've been working on, and I'm still not quite happy with it. But the cool thing is, here's the cool thing, right? Both these frames take the exact same hardware package. My idea with these frames was to keep it super simple so that anybody build it, anybody could fly it, whatever. This frame they both take the exact same standoffs, and you can use either 8 or 10 millimeter screws, depending on if you're trying to say, you know, I use 10 millimeter screws in this one because I'm not obviously not trying to save a few grams on my freestyle frame. So the whole entire frame goes together with 10 millimeter screws. And what's cool about that is, right now, all I have to do, I have a box of 8 millimeter, a box of 10 millimeter, and then I have the two kinds of standoffs, 15 millimeter and 28 millimeter, that goes in the headpiece right here. So now, if I bend that's one thing I always hated is if I bought like a frame and I bent a standoff, you can't freaking, how the hell do you get one standoff to fix the goddamn frame? Where do you find one standoff? Nobody can sell, you know, and then you're screwed because you have a bent standoff. So with these, all the standoffs, all the hardware is the same, and I can buy like 100 standoffs for, you know, $10 and have endless standoffs. So that was my my deal with creating these frames for myself, so that if I can crash them away, and they cost me about $20 to cut new ones, hardware and all, and that's it. Polly, what up? Yeah, use long screws in the standoffs if you want. It helps. It definitely helps to strengthen it up. There's no doubt about it. And then I Frankenstein together. Now that I started using that micro board, right? I Frankenstein together this guy, which is one of these frames without this headpiece on it, kind of, sort of. And this guy is coming in at 253 grams. And it's a fantastic little racer. It's got the micro cam in there, and it's got that HGLRC micro board in there. And this is what I flew with the HDOs. And check this out. This is what's cool about this. I don't know if you guys can see in there. You probably can. Do you see what I did here? These are the standoffs holding the top plate. And then these are holding the flight controller. So the flight controller is not attached to the base plate at all. The flight controller is free floating in the middle of the frame. So it's completely isolated from any motor vibration. Yeah, titanium screws are cute and all, but they're expensive, and they keep they break real easy. They're brittle. Polly, those frames and motors and shit, that video that you saw me throwing them all away, that's about a year's worth of broken gear. It's not like that happened in a month or whatever. Some of those were prototype frames, broken frames, motors that I crashed. I used to do a lot of testing for a couple of companies around here. I tested prototype motors, so I beat the shit out of them. Yeah, I'm pretty confident in the stack. But anyway, that little guy performs awesome. So this is where I'm going with the next round of skadoosh frames. And none of these are obviously, you know what, guys, here's the deal. Everybody's asked me to like put them to market, but there is like zero money in frames. Not that I give a shit about making any money. I own a company. I do well for myself. I can afford HDOs if I want to buy them. But there's not much return in doing just frames. All you really get is a bunch of slack and people calling you a freaking cloner because it looks like another frame or some other frame, or some guy crashes it 6 times and then, you know, wonders why he had a light crash and the arm broke off because he already weakened it from crashing it 100 feet up the last time he crashed. And it's just a bunch of headaches for nothing. You know what I mean? So like if a company wanted to carry this design, or anybody wants the freaking CAD files to cut their own, they can have at it. I will email you the CAD files. I do not care. I don't care about being secretive or hiding it, or like I got something freaking special. Here's the bottom line. We have carbon fiber. We have 4 motors. We have to mount the stack and the camera in there. So basically every frame is going to look like some other frame. I mean, a Ford looks like a Chevy, looks like a Dodge, looks like a Toyota. They all have 4 wheels and a steering wheel. But the few times that I posted anything about any of my frames, I got so much freaking crap feedback that I was just like, fuck that. I ain't fucking selling these to nobody. I'll just fly them myself. I get a lot more satisfaction out of cutting these and flying them myself. Nice and cheap. I have my standoffs. I can build the shit out of them, and I don't have to listen to anybody's freaking crybaby bullshit. So, you know what? Fuck all that shit. They actually, what the hell? Hey, Aaron, you know there actually was a frame that had balsa in the middle of it. I had one. It's the Sam 220, and that frame fucking rocked, man. That thing hauled ass, but it wasn't very durable. But the balsa in the middle, it was designed like an airplane wing. It was balsa wrapped in carbon fiber, and then had acrylic on top of that. And I think the frame only weighed like 60 grams. And the thing was an absolute rocket, but it was not very durable at all. But the balsa inside negated like any vibrations whatsoever. So that was pretty cool. So anyway, guys, I am back in business. I had a bunch of stuff and builds and prototype crap and testing crap to catch up on here on my bench. So I'm up with that. It's been raining for about 3 days. So I put some new tires and a lowering kit on my FPV truck. So I'll be doing some videos about that. You guys want to see my truck? Let me show you the truck. My FPV truck. I don't know about the new Hobby Wing motors, bro. Yeah, people are, you know, I crashed and something broke. Guess what? You crashed. It happens. There's my Traxxas FPV. I just put a low center of gravity kit on it. So the battery now rides at the center of the hubs of the tires so it doesn't roll over. I can whip donuts without flipping the truck over. These were the old tires that were, now you can see I put these monster tires on there, so that helped a lot too. Right now it has the stock brushed motor in it, and it'll still spin those tires and shoot a rooster. But I do have the brushless motor on the way, 3S brushless motor. So it should really go like a freaking rocket when I get that installed. Put these little guys back up in their homes. Two-wheel drive slash because just because I wanted it for a basher. I want to whip, you know, donuts and rooster tails and whatnot and so on and so forth. And I bought the very basic model because I wanted to build it myself. I know you can buy everything from Traxxas all pre, but that's like the first for real RC car I've ever owned. So I wanted to learn about it. I wanted to put the motors and tires and all that stuff in there myself so that I know about it. Now that I've done it, if I bought another one, I'd probably buy the one with all the upgrades already in it instead of doing it myself. But since that was my first one, I wanted to learn about it. So I did. And that's what I'm doing. And this guy here also has the micro board in it. Let me tell you something. This is the most amazing flying quad I have ever freaking flown. This thing just cuts through the air unbelievably smooth. It's just unfreaking real how these things fly. The only thing about these is for a racer, you need to have about 3 of these built, because if you crash one, it's not easy to repair it in the field. Like, okay, this racer right here, let me go back to this. 90% of the reason I designed this the way I designed it is so that if I crashed this at a race, This whole thing is like a fuselage. It's all one piece. Nothing is attached to the base plate. So basically all I do is take out these screws and this whole thing lifts off. So if I break an arm on this, even though it's a one-piece base plate, if I break an arm on this, I can pop the screws out of the motors and pop those 4 screws out and lift this entire thing off and stick it on another base plate. So I just carry a couple base plates with me. I just carry a couple base plates with me when I go to a race. So if I do crash it, I can quickly swap out the base plate. And if you see right here on the top, this top is actually a hatch. Let's see. It's hollow like this in the bottom. And the VTX sits right inside of there. So if anything goes wrong with the VTX, I had some guy rear-ended, actually, I'm sorry, some guy plugged in on me the last race I was at, and I slammed into the wall. My antenna snapped off my VTX, and it screwed my VTX off. So I took out these screws and was able to open that hatch and switch out my VTX and be back in the air for the next round. So that is why I designed this the way I designed it. So that everything was super easy to access. I got to put my LEDs on here. I haven't put them on there yet. When will I make them available for my friends in Shanghai? Anytime. Anytime you guys come to Suzhou, I'll hook you up with a frame. So, yeah. So if you're going to race with these, even though it is the best flying quad I have ever flown, you need to have several of them, because you cannot just unbolt these motors and the motors have to be unsoldered to even come out, to even take this thing apart. So that is probably one of the only disadvantages I can see to this frame. If you use all micro parts, they're super easy to build. Well, not super easy. They are difficult to build, but everything will fit in there okay. They're just difficult to build because you got to slide the motors inside of there and wire everything up inside. Can't do it outside the frame. You gotta get your LEDs inside if the race requires LEDs. So it's no easy task, but they are worth it. These things freaking rip. Yeah, hyperlows are a pain in the ass too. You can also fry your motor if you put too much oil in it. Yes, you can fry your motor if you put too much oil in it. If it starts slinging all over the oil is conductive, so if it's slinging all over your freaking stator, man, and it shorts something out, it will freaking toast it. Not only will that toast it, but the breaking down of the grease, like I said, the grease that they put inside these motors is a high temperature grease. It's designed for higher temperature motors for the electricity that's going through the stator. So if you're dripping oil in there and displacing that grease, now those bearings are going to get hot as fuck. And that can also smoke your motor. So yeah, you don't want to fuck with that either. So guys, so there's my pilots. I bought them. Nobody gave them to me. Thoughts on the HDOs. The Kevlar strap. Oh God, these straps right here from RJX Hobby. And I don't know if you guys know this, but I would say probably 80% of the battery straps you buy out there with names on them are made by RJX. These are the 3M Kevlar. They're not full Kevlar, but they're Kevlar inlaid, I guess you would say. Like this is the Kevlar piece on the back, and it's rubberized. I've never broke one of these. These fucking straps are awesome. They're about $4 a piece, but very well worth it. These straps. And it has a metal buckle. So yeah, I get these from RJX Hobby. I think they have a website. But yeah, they're awesome. Excuse me. So what else do we got that we're gonna try around here? Oh, I have I'm gonna try out this little DVR guy here. And I have a split since the whatchamacallins, the Hero 5s are going down the tubes. I still have 4 brand new ones in the box that I bought at the end of when I heard that they were going out. So I got a few of them to go through before I get to trying something else. Hopefully by then they come out with something else. I don't know. And don't forget the Tango 2 is coming also. The Tango 2 is going to be a freaking phenomenal little radio. Because, you know, fuck FR Sky. Alright, guys. So let's go see what's going on outside and smoke a cigarette. There's my infamous dog. Hi, dog. Say hi to everybody. Hi. She's hating life right now because it's been raining for 3 days. So we haven't been doing too much. This is what happens when you live alone. Your whole entire house a man cave. My wife still stays at her house in Nanjing because she works over there, so I only see her like on the weekends. So I'm hoping it's going to dry up today. All right, guys, my internet is going funky. Going funky now, and it's connecting in and out. So I'm going to peace out to you guys. Thanks for joining me. Have a fantastic fucking day.